morning. It is Friday the 15th of November and it is a very chilly start. Next week there may be just a little bit of a sprinkling of snow. In my opinion, I think that possibly snow is my most favourite type of weather. What is yours? Just because the weather forecaster has said that there may be a sprinkling of snow, I've made sure that we've got enough hot chocolate in the cupboard, that there are enough snowmen marshmallows to go around, our Wellington boot socks are washed and ready, because if it snows, no matter what time of day, I get outside. Okay, maybe not the middle of the night, but it's almost like you have a sense. Does anybody else have a sense when it's snowing outside? Just the stillness, no traffic on the roads. It's almost like you can smell that snow is on its way. So if it is the middle of the night, no, I won't go outside, but I would definitely get up and I would watch it. I'm getting emotional. I'll definitely get up and watch the snow out of the window because it's just so beautiful. We are slowly creeping up to December. It's a Friday today. You will see this next Wednesday, and we are starting off today in the kitchen. I've got a super busy day. I'm so excited to be sharing this with you. Do grab yourselves a super cozy drink, maybe a hot chocolate, especially if it's a snow day. Grab yourselves a cozy drink and settle in, because we have got just a little bit more of a Christmas vlog. I'm just so pleased that this time of year is finally upon us. There's so much that we want to share with you. I'm going to let you know about the plans for today, but I've just got myself my second caffeinated coffee. Now, this coffee that I'm drinking is a little bit special. I'll tell you about it after I've just had one sip. I really love that first sip from the cup. There is nothing like it. Let me show you the coffee that I'm drinking this morning. So I've left the box out over here. These are the Starbucks toffee nut flavoured coffee pods for your Nespresso machine. They are a limited edition, and oh my goodness me, definitely pop these in your basket next time you see them. I picked these up in my weekly Tesco shop. I like to buy a few of these and then I just display them in a glass jar, and it just adds a little bit of festivity to the kitchen. Let me put that box back. One of the things that's happening today is the postman is stopping by because he needs to collect my pod back full of my recycling pods. So you all know that I use an espresso coffee machine. We always like coffee in a very small cup. The smaller the cup, the better the coffee. That's what we say. Over here, I've got my pod back bag. I just wanted to show you what happens. If you have an espresso coffee machine, you can recycle your pods, and obviously we want to recycle the pods because they can get used again and again. So it's a pod back. On the Nespresso app, just click accessories, and then if you drop down, it will say, I think it says something like recycling bag, and obviously it's all free. You just fill it up with your pod backs. Let me just get it back again. When your bag is full and it's reached the dotted line, then you go back onto your Nespresso app and arrange a delivery. Honestly, it could not be easier. And then the post person will knock on the door and collect the bag, and you feel like you've done something good for the world. So there we go. That's that. Later on today, I've got one of my very best friends coming over for coffee and cake, so I thought I would do one of my favourite cakes, which is apple and cinnamon. It is over on the channel. I've actually done a recipe in itself. I think it's apple and cinnamon loaf, but I'll link it in the description. I'll also pop the recipe into this description so that you've got it. But I'm going to just crack on and talk to you because there's so much to catch up on. Today is a super busy day. So my friend is popping over about 1 o'clock, so I'm getting this job done first. Vintage dresses is also super busy, so there's a few orders that I need to get prepared because when the postman comes later on this morning, they need to be wrapped and ready to collect. There's a craft coming later on today. Fingers crossed I have time to do that before my friend arrives, and it's something for GB for the festive season. I'm going to keep that just a little bit of a surprise for later on. I just love this cake. It's a very autumnal cake, but it's also very festive, especially if you add just a little bit more cinnamon and nutmeg than you normally would. Quite heavy-handed with cinnamon. I hope my friend likes cinnamon. I think she does because she loved the pumpkin spice loaf that I did recently, and that had a lot of cinnamon in. I've also popped quite a lot of nutmeg in there, but it is the season. Just making sure I've popped all my ingredients in. 1 egg, purpose flour, baking powder, here. Yesterday evening, GB and I went to a little theatre amateur drama group in our town. I was over at the settlement, which is just moments from our house. It was one of the best things I have ever seen locally. It was the Flint Street Nativity. If you've not seen or heard about the Flint Street Nativity, it is wonderful. Remember that my background is in teaching and in schools particularly, and I used to be in charge of the nativity performance. I've got a few stories to tell you later on. I absolutely loved last night. I think I laughed all the way through. It's a British comedy written by Tim Firth, and it's based in a school. There is a teacher called Mrs. Horrocks. You don't actually see her in the performance, but you see the children, although they're not children, they're adults pretending to be children. It is so hilariously funny. I think it was first staged in 1999. ITV did their own take of the play, and it's something that we used to watch every year at Christmas time. I'll link it below because it is on YouTube. If you've ever worked in a school, or you've been part of a school PTA, or if you have ever attended a school nativity, then I think you would find this laugh out loud funny. Each child in the performance has their own uniqueness and their own personality, and I think that's what makes this play so magical. It's very light-hearted and very relatable. Working in schools over many years, I've directed lots of nativity plays, and I honestly think the best ones are when you work with nursery or reception. They were always so special because the costumes got handed down year after year after year. It's a funny thing being a teacher who directs a nativity performance, because when the children enter the classroom in September, you can pretty much work out who's going to be cast which part. When my teaching assistant and I used to get ready for the nativity play, we very much used to ask the children what did they want to be first of all, rather than just giving them a part. And then if some children wanted to be the same part, that's when we would sort of think, okay, would that work? It's one of those evenings that I really did look forward to in the year, because you'd really have to think on your feet. There were definitely years where I had to do that when children are sick. We've had a manger fall over. We've had Jesus come off the stage before. The plays that we delivered were always a little bit of a fun take of the nativity. I remember one being called Mary's Knitting, and she was just concerned about getting her knitting done all the way through the performance. So there's a little bit of humour there for the parents and grandparents. I hope I'm cutting these small enough because I'm talking. I remember one year having to really think on my feet. The play was really about the kings, and the three kings were the main part of this performance, because as I said, the nativity plays that we delivered were not all about Mary and Joseph's story, but sometimes it was a take of the nativity, and this time it was about the three kings, but one king was sick, and I had to keep reminding myself that one king was sick and saying the two kings. Every time I mentioned two, I gave a different reason why the other king wasn't there. So I said something like, the third king wasn't there because he was waiting for his shopping delivery. I just made it up on the spot, but I absolutely loved the performance of making sure that 30, or sometimes I used to have two classes when I worked in a different school, so up to 60 children under the age of 5 were going to get through the performance. I'm sure that the friend who's coming around today, she is one of my dearest friends, was my teaching assistant for some time. I'm sure she's got many, many stories herself, which has just reminded me of another story. So we were preparing the children for the nativity. So every day we were reading different versions of the nativity story, just trying to really embed that in their minds. She was holding up a book and the children were all gathered round, and she read a story so beautifully. There was a little boy in the class, and he raised up his hand, raised it up really, really high, and he was one of those children who you just knew he'd put his hand up every single story. He was so keen and so eager. He wanted to tell you everything. He'd probably had his hand raised quite a few times by now, and he'd got his hand up again. We were obviously also trying to encourage lots of children to ask questions. We said to him, let's just hold your question, hold it in your mind. We will just see what everyone else has got to say, just because you've asked a few questions now and you've joined in quite a lot, but lots of children haven't. Hold your question in your mind, and when we get to the end of the book, if the question has not been answered, we can look at it then. And he just put his hand up really, really high and said, "But why is Mary and Jesus walking on the moon?" Well, my TA and I had to really, really hold our giggles in. We didn't even look at each other because we just had that eye contact that just knew. And when we looked at the page, we could understand why he said it. Mary and Joseph did look like they were walking on the moon, but in fact they were walking through the desert, but the picture did look like the moon. Oh my goodness me, honestly, I think days like that are the times that I really, really miss teaching. As we're chit-chatting about children and Christmas stories, there's another one that I would love to share with you. This was when I was working in a nursery and I was doing an acting head teachership for a year in this school. It's in one of the local villages and the nursery itself overlooked the high street, so it could be quite busy of people, buses, cars. There was always lots to look at. There I was outside chit-chatting away with the children, and I had seen a gentleman walk past and he had a big white beard. He was quite an older man and he was walking by quite slowly. And I said to one of the little boys, who I can picture so well, who was one of those children that will always stay with you, I said to the little boy, look over there, there's Father Christmas. And he looked straight away. And he kept looking and he was looking at the fence, and anyway he runs over to the fence and he holds on to the bars and he puts his head through and he shouts, "Father Christmas! Oi! Santa!" And he's shouting at this gentleman, "Santa! Father Christmas!" So he's standing at this fence shouting all of this, and this gentleman either couldn't hear or was just deliberately not getting involved. And this little boy, he's looking quite disappointed by now, and he's got his head down and he's shaking his head. He looks up at me with his big eyes. His eyes almost look too big for his head, you know, when children have big, beautiful eyes. And he just says, "Nah, that's not Santa. That's Dumbledore, ain't it?" Oh my goodness me. It's moments like that. Honestly, I just wish I would have recorded all of these moments of all the funny things that children say. They just make you smile every day, don't they? They really, really do. So how is everybody? Has anybody got their Christmas trees up yet? Please let me know if you have. If you caught up with my vlog from last Saturday, you will know that I went to my sister's house and we put up a very special tree together. It was a little bit early for us, but it was the only weekend that we had together before Christmas. We are both super, super busy. We had the very, very best time. And if you love Christmas content, you may like to check that out if you've not already. I was at the gym though this week doing an aqua class, and then the music suddenly went off. So the instructor was trying to sort of keep everybody going and she was just asking questions. Of course, one of the questions was, has anybody got their Christmas tree up yet? She think that I was going to admit this to my close vicinity when the instructor was saying it's far too early. I just carried on doing my jumping jacks thinking, well, yes, I have put a Christmas tree up, but no, I'm not going to admit this. Right, I'm going to crack on with this. I'm going to pop this apple and cinnamon loaf into the oven for 40 minutes. I have just seen the postman go by, so I need to speed up a bit because, as I mentioned to you, there's a few orders that I need to prepare ready. I'm going to make a crumble topping for this, but I'm going to pop this in the oven for now in my preheated oven, 180. It needs to be in there for a good 45 to 50 minutes. I'm going to quickly get the dress orders wrapped and then we can come back and do the crumble topping. Back to baking. How many of us multitask? I mean, multitasking is just something that us women are so good at doing, isn't it? I wash my hands where I've been out of the kitchen. The soap that I'm using smells incredible. I bought it recently from Home Bargains. I'll show you it in a second. It's one of those festive scents. Let's have a look. I love watching vlogs, especially when vloggers share things that they like or things that they would recommend. Unfortunately, I can't remember the price of this, but I do remember it came in a variety of different scents. This one is the Winter Botanicals and it's lovely. It's a really nice subtle green. When I bought it, I thought maybe it was a bit early for something festive, but festivity is creeping in, that's for sure. We're going to make the crumble topping now, and the exact measurements are on the recipe. I like to just throw everything in. I like quite a crumbly topping, so I tend to use more of everything. More is more when it comes to crumbly toppings. So we're going to start with some butter. We need some oats. Cinnamon. Oh, sugar. Sugar. We need sugar. I've got sugar out. Yeah. Brown sugar, and it's a case of just mixing everything together. If this is a recipe that you are interested in, it is over on the channel. I did it as a separate video. When I first started the weekly vlogs, I thought I was going to do a recipe every week, and then I decided that I think the recipes should just be included in the vlogs. Then I decided to include postman. Quick. Get on. The floor's an absolute mess now. Got to remember my pod back. Hello. Hi, come in. Take care.
Hi, Cher. Take care.
See ya.
See you later.
Bye. Well, that's all done. Orders have gone off, but where I had really crumbly hands, I didn't know what to do, so I just did this and it's all over my floor. Smells of cinnamon. Smells amazing. What Christmassy smells do you like at home? Are you one for the pine tree smell? I love the smell of fresh pine. Unfortunately, I am allergic to real Christmas trees, which is a bit sad. This is looking crumbly. Crumbly. This crumble topping is done. I'm just going to grab the cake out the oven and quickly put that on the top. Probably not the correct way to do it, but I have done this before and it's okay if I do it quite swiftly. Just cover the cake in the crumble and then just pop it back in again. Wow, looks so good. There is so much crumble on this cake. I'm gonna have to watch this that it doesn't burn. I'm gonna turn that right down. I'd rather it low and slow, I think. I'm yet to tell you the rest of the plans for the day. I'm going to tidy up the kitchen and make this presentable for my friend coming round. Then we're going to do a little festive craft. I'll let you know what we need shortly because I do know that some of you love to follow along at home. Later on this evening, GB and I are going out with some of our friends. We've already been messaging and we're dressing up. I've got a beautiful vintage dress ready, hanging up in the bedroom, and I can't wait to share that with you later on. This is a dress that I own. It's not from the shop collection, but it does have a slight tad of festivity. And then I've got a bit of a dilemma about which pair of shoes to wear. So I've got two pairs of, they're brand new but they are vintage, so I've got two pairs of vintage but new, both that match the dress, but I'm really not sure which way to go with what I'm wearing, so we'll have a look at that a little bit later on. I'm just looking around. It's probably best to why does everything make such a mess? Let's get the kitchen tip top and then we can start some festive crafting.
I know a place where we can go. I know a place where we can go, where we are safe, where we are known. I know that there's no place like home.
We are now to the crafting section. We're going to be making an advent calendar, and this advent calendar is going to be for GB. I'm going to let you know what we need. I've got a little story to tell you, then we're going to get crafting. You will need a long branch, a long twig. I've got a meter stick. This was from when I was a teacher. We used to use this to measure things in the classroom because we knew that this was 1 meter long, so we would compare anything in the classroom to my meter stick. You'll want something that will take just a little bit of weight. You will need some jute twine and scissors. You'll need some little bags. You can buy them from All Places Home Bargains. B&M, these ones were from Flying Tiger. Some little pegs. I've got little pegs with numbers on. These again were from Tiger. You'll need some treats. I've got gold coins, and you possibly may like some stickers and a Sharpie pen. As lots of you will know, we spent a little bit of time over in Bath recently. It was during October, so it was absolutely beautiful. That is over on the channel now. If you like a little bit of cozy travel vlogging, please do go and check that out. Whilst we were there, I fell in love with an advent calendar that was up by the Royal Crescent. Unfortunately, it was in like a gallery shop and it was closed. GB said take a photograph of the website and then you can order it. Of course, I took a photograph, but I didn't get the full website in, and I thought I would never see this advent calendar again. I didn't know who had designed it, if I could buy it anywhere. I've been thinking about that advent calendar so much. Well, the week after bonfire night, I was getting ready for bed, and GB said, I've got a present for you. I thought, have you? And he gave me a beautifully wrapped gift, and inside was the advent calendar. I can't wait to show you this. I love it. First of all, it's called Midnight Fox. And as you can see, there's a little fox in there. We have a little fox that goes past ours at 10:30 at night. He will go up the street, he stays on the pavement, and then around midnight you can see him going back again. It's gorgeous. It's by Angela Harding. I'll pop the link to her Instagram page within the description. I was very emotional when I opened this because I love everything about it. I'm not going to open it now, but I will open it in December, and I can't wait to show you what it looks like fully open. But it did get me thinking. GB hasn't got an advent calendar, and I really want to make him one. So let's take the first one. How about something like... Done. Number 1. Next one. Fold that down. I'm going to carry on doing the bags. I'll see you the other side. We've got 16 parcels. I've still got a few more to do, but it's 12 o'clock. My friend's arriving at 1, so I'm going to show you how I attach these to the branch now. Then I can finish off this activity over the weekend when I know that GB is out. We're going to be making a secure hanging device. I'm going to get the end, and I'm going to first of all tie a really strong knot. And then I'm just going to wrap the twine several times around. You need to roughly know where you're hanging your branch so that you know how long to do the string in the middle. And then on the other end, you need to wrap round again. So make it nice and strong. Create a knot at the end. To make sure that that is super strong. Then just see how it is hanging. Oh lovely, it does hang. That hangs beautifully. That is perfect. It's hanging really very well. The next job is that we need to attach each bag to the branch in no particular order. Obviously we need to find the right numbers. So there's number 10. I'm going to double over my twine. Pop the peg in the twine like that. Peg on your piece of paper, then tie your bag to the branch. Make sure that you don't tie your hanging section to the branch as well. Always leave that bit separate. And that's one done. I'm going to attach the bags that I've got so far to the branch. Although the advent calendar isn't fully finished, I will finish it off over the weekend. I just wanted to show you the effect so you can see it hanging up. So let's take down the autumn wreath. Let's put the advent calendar up just to give you the idea of what it will look like once it's finished. So it just goes on that hook there. And you can see its effect. Isn't that wonderful? So GB will find the number of the day, he'll undo, there's a little message on the inside of the bag, and inside is a little treat. I think he's going to love this. I'm looking at the time and I really do need to rush around now and get ready for my friend arriving. So I will take this down. It's a little bit too early, but it is looking wonderful and I can't wait to finish it off. Once it's finished, there'll be a few more bags on there.
Taking every moment, making every memory, knowing all that matters is all we need. Yeah, I know where we belong. Yeah, I know where we belong. I know a place where we can go. I know a place where we can go, where we are safe, where we are known. I know that there's no place like home.
It's a lot later on now. My lovely friend Mrs. P is on her way home. We had some of the apple and cinnamon loaf. Was it a disaster? We ended up eating it almost like a crumbly bowl dish rather than a slice of cake, but it was delicious, I have to say. Although we did have a little bit of a question mark as we were cutting it into the cake. We think the cake still had a cake paper layer on. We weren't sure if we were eating paper or not, so we ended up just spooning out the centre of the cake and eating it as a crumble, which was very, very good. I'm just thinking about getting my outfit ready for this evening. You may have spotted behind me, this is the dress that I'm going to be wearing tonight. We've got a beautiful velvet bodice and then of course puffy sleeves with lace detail. Then there's a gold thread shimmery detail on the dress. Just starting to think about which shoes shall I put with this dress. And then I thought, what about a bag? So I thought we could look at those things together. Shoes first. They were vintage when I bought them, but they still had the tags on. So I've had them as new, but they are vintage. I just love the little gold hearts. You can see it is an absolutely perfect match. I'm really thinking that these shoes possibly are what would go the best, but I do have one other pair to show you. My other pair are, wow, these go as well. These are 1980s gold sandals. I've not worn them out yet, although I've worn them around the house. But again, these are brand new. But I always wear a pair of shoes just around the home, just to make sure that they are of comfort. These are, I think if I hold one and one up, what do we think? I suppose I'm not really going to know until I've got the dress on. But I'm sort of thinking that the sandals really are the most perfect gold. Okay, well, I will let you know. I'll let you know which ones I decide. I thought the decision was going to be a little bit easier, to be quite honest. Shoes are undecided, but let's think about a bag. So bag options. First of all, I have this absolutely stunning beaded bag. There is one issue though, and that is that the handle is silver and the dress is gold. Is that going to be a huge deal? I think that could be a deal breaker. What about if I put the handle in and make it into a clutch bag? I love this bag. It's vintage and I just love it so much. I sort of feel like it's a deal breaker because of the silver clasp. Although, look how beautiful it is. I'm sure I'll get some wear out of it over the Christmas season. Next up, a beaded bow vintage satin clutch bag. Again though, there is a silver clasp. I just don't think it's going to work. When I was pulling the bags out earlier, I hadn't realised about the silver. But when you put the bag up against the dress, it just doesn't feel right. There's just something, it just doesn't feel quite right. What about the next bag? Some of you may remember this bag. I wore this when we went to a black tie wedding event, and this was with a black vintage Laura Ashley dress. I love the bag with the beautiful tassels, the beaded front, and I also absolutely love the top handle. But there's silver on it again. It's just not going to work. I'm not going to panic though. I've got 2 more bags to choose from, and at the end of the day I'm going to have to pick one, but not this one. Brand new Primark, £12 in this wine coloured velvet gold metal. Let's go and see what this one looks like. Gold definitely works. I really wish I'd picked up the black and gold now, because Primark also had black velvet with a gold metal, and it does go. It does go. I'm not sure. I'm just not sure. I've got one other bag. This is definitely a contender. I'm just not 100%. This one is a 1980s suede effect with the scalloped edging. Let's go and see what red looks like with the dress. Do you know, I love the red. I feel like that's a bit standout, and I'm going to be wearing red lipstick. So at the moment, I'm thinking red. This is definitely not the bag that I thought I would be wearing tonight. I do feel that sometimes if you put something up, rather than wearing it, you can really assess around and look at the colourways. Let's hold the shoes up with the bag, with the dress, and just see if we can get an overall effect. Now that I've got the bag here, I feel like the shoes may work better, but also the gold is lovely. It's definitely going to be the red, because I'm going to have red lipstick, and then either the gold or the black. I'm undecided, but as I say, I will let you know once I get the dress on. Well, that was a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to going out tonight, drinking a few cocktails, having a few drinks with our friends, and I know that we'll make lots of happy memories. Friday is an exercise day for me. I've not done any yet so far. I've also eaten a lot of cake, so I'm just going to pop some leggings on, throw my coat on, and we're going out for a brisk power walk. Let's go down to the local common. Look at how many leaves are on the ground. Odd leaf falling, colours of the trees, and some of the trees are almost bare. What a lovely time of day to be down here. Haven't been down here for a week, and look how many leaves have fallen. Oh, I tell you what, it's cold. I did say that we were expecting a cold spell, and I think it's on its way. Looking up at the magpies flying. Quite a few of them getting ready to settle in for the night. Definitely chilly out. I wish I had my gloves, but I don't have them, and I'm just going to have to get on with it. Start walking a bit faster. I think I might even have to put my coat up. Oh, that's a bit better. I've done my coat up. Ooh, it is cold, cold, cold. Are you a cold weather lover, or do you prefer the heat? Although we are at the start of the cold spell, I have to say I'm really, really enjoying it. My eyes are just glancing over the top of the camera, and I'll show you why. Who remembers me telling you the story about my favourite tree? It's hardly got any leaves on it now. Just a couple of weeks since I told you about that tree, and now most of the leaves are off. Isn't it just the most perfect shape? So sometimes if you're really, really lucky, you can see deer just in here and at the back over there. They're not out today. It's probably too cold for them at the moment. If I had to choose a second favourite tree down here at the nature reserve, it would be this one. Again, such a beautiful shape. I love this curved at the top. I'm actually wondering if it's going to be cold enough tonight to have Jack Frost overnight and leave a sprinkling of white. It does actually feel like we might wake up to a frost in the morning, and if it does, I am coming down here first thing. Sorry if my eyes keep glancing around, it's because I get very distracted when I'm down here and I look at everything. I'm just looking at, I'll show you what I'm looking at. I think I showed you this last time I was here. Basically all this area has been cut back, and I was just having a glance just to see what was going on. We mentioned S-N-O-W. If you're a phonics teacher like me, you'd sound it out snow. We mentioned that there may be some snow next week. I'm not sure. What do you think? Are we going to get any in Hertfordshire? So there's options from where I'm standing. So I can walk over there and then round the back, or I can walk to the main path, which is by the trees, and walk up here. What do? I think I'm going to walk up here because sometimes I see monkjack just a little bit further on from there. So let's go and see if we can find any out today. Then I must get home and get ready for this evening. Having this on your doorstep. We are very, very blessed. So this is often where you find the deer, but unfortunately there's no deer out today. Sometimes the deer will just be around here, but there's a lot of people out walking their dogs at the moment. Maybe they're all snuggled and settled down. Cool. I'm a bit emotional. I just have to stand still. A lady just lost her dog, and I was walking and managed to see it, but it was quite far back, and it was really difficult to try and keep the dog calm, but also try and call the owner at the same time. My heart's actually pounding. The fear of losing your dog is just awful, isn't it? I don't have a dog, but I know that the fear of losing one if I had one would be awful. Anyway, they've been reunited now, thankfully. GB's just sent me a message to say that he's on his way home now, so I haven't really got as long as I thought I had. So I'm going to get in, run a bath, zen out for a few moments in the bath, and then crack on. We're getting ready for the evening. That was a really lovely bath. Never give myself enough time to get ready. Are you the same? Years ago, I'd spend hours getting ready. Where now I feel like, oh, I'll just get one more job done, or I'll just do something else. It means that getting ready can sometimes be quite rushed. For me, it's always my nose area that goes quite red. I remember watching my mum put her makeup on, and she always used to say about how her cheeks would go very, very rosy. For me, it's my nose. It's like in Christmas and then looking like Rudolph. I do find that just adding just a little bit of powder on my nose tends to get rid of the red. I'm just going to go and powder my nose. I feel like I know what that means now. I like to use just a little bit of pink as my blush, just over the cheekbones. For me, I find that it just helps to blend everything in. GB's home from work and we're both really looking forward to the evening. Eyebrow gel just helps your current eyebrows stay in place. If you brush your own eyebrows, it really does help to give them definition, makes them look thicker. For me, it's just this area really. It's the area that meets my nose. I think years ago I used to use the tweezers in this section. Then your eyebrows never really grow back the same, do they? I remember my Auntie Christine saying to me when I was young, promise me you'll never pluck your eyebrows. It's the biggest beauty tip. And it really, really is. Just leave your natural eyebrows. That is one thing I wish I had done. Just left my natural eyebrows. That's why when you look at men always have great eyebrows. It's because they've left them alone. I'm not someone who puts a lot of makeup on during the day. Just when I go out. They're definitely better than what they were, but eyebrows are always very challenging. I actually do like to wear a little bit of eyeshadow. I always go for a very nude colour. This is from Primark. I actually can't see the cashmere. Is it cashmere? Champagne. Which is perfect for our evening. Once my eyeshadow's on, I always spray set-in spray, and I just let that set. I think I may have shared this little tip with you before. If we're going out, I like to pop on this white conditioning, lengthening mascara. I find that the white just helps to thicken and lengthen. I feel like when you go in with your mascara, each brush stroke runs through ever so smoothly. without creating any clumps. I'm not going for a very heavy makeup look because of the white conditioners on. I think it's L'Oreal brand. I'll pop it in the description. I think is it L'Oreal? Paradise. I think it is a L'Oreal. And where I've put that on, I've got nothing on the top, nothing on the bottom. And because the conditioner's on my eyes, it means that it's sort of still quite wet. So now I'm able to just get my eyelash. I don't worry about curlers. I just push it back. Let's look at the difference. Does it make a difference? Yes, it definitely does. So what am I going to do with my hair this evening? It's been straightened once. It's got a little bit of product in it. It's beginning to look a little bit frizzy. Should I put my hair up somehow? I think I want to wear it down. If I curl my hair, I always make sure that each section is fully combed through. Then I'm going to do my new curling tip. I'm going to bring the straighteners in to midway and then turn them the other way, which felt really bizarre at the beginning, but it really does create almost like a different type. It creates a different type of wave. So we're going to have the straighteners faced backwards, get it down to the bottom, and then turn the straighteners the other way and run them through. Can you see how it's all clumping together? At the back, hopefully you can see how that has really stayed together. I'm going to try and do that on this side now. I've got to go in the same direction, so that was that way, so this is that way as well. Now that my hair's done, I'm just using a wide tooth comb just to separate it out a little bit so it doesn't look really tight together. I'm going to go and get changed. I still need to put my lipstick on. I need to hurry GB up because he's just doing the last few minute bits. He's actually just finishing off a little bit of editing of the video that you will have seen from the vlog that is going out on Saturday, just gone. So I need to get him to go get a shower and get a move on because we haven't got too much longer and we need to head out. Do you remember that I mentioned about whether I was going to wear the shoes or the sandals? Let's go and decide what I'm going to be going for. Right. That is us ready to go out. I've decided on the red bag and of course the gold sandals. I'm wearing the vintage dress, which I just love. I love the puffy sleeves, as you always know. We're ready. I say we. I'm ready. GB is just very nearly ready. We're going out the door and really looking forward to a lovely evening with our friends. As always, I have thoroughly enjoyed spending the day with you. Thank you so much for watching. Take care and I'll see you all on Saturday.